Hi, this is Jenny Eden Burke from Just One More Bite with Jenny Eden Burke. And today we're going to be talking about food as love language. And what this is going to entail is a number of things, but like really healthy ways that you can give and receive through food, especially if, food is sort of one of your love languages. And we're going to talk about how food can actually be a love language, how you give and receive through food. So, if you're new to watching today, welcome to the Monthly Mindful Lounge. As I said, I'm Jenny Eden Burke with 20 plus years in eating psychology. I'm also an author of the book, The Body Image Blueprint, and a culinary nutritionist and health educator. I love discussing topics such as stress and emotional eating, mindful and intuitive eating, like conscious eating as a remedy for those for binge eating and overeating and stress eating. And today we're going to be exploring the intersection where food meets love, care, and relationships. Just a quick reminder in terms of our community guidelines, whether you're here live, hi Colleen,
Hello.
or you're here watching on the replay. Just a reminder, this is a judgment-free space. All family dynamics are valid and welcome. You only need to share what you feel comfortable sharing. Always honor your own boundaries and support other people's experience with curiosity. And today, what we're going to cover is the the whole like love language spiral, I guess. The first part is discovering what your food love language is. So we're going to be doing that today. Then we're going to create perhaps some new or different healthy food traditions that honor boundaries. And that's going to be the practice today. So it's discover, create, and practice. And you have a Google, I guess, a folder that I've shared with you, or if you haven't gotten it, let me know. And this will include take-home tools, access to the Heartbeat community, obviously, and scripts for real life situations that may come up. So, for a minute, just take a moment and think about a time when you felt deeply loved or cared for through food. It could be from a meaningful childhood experience, a special meal your mom made or your grandma. It could be a friend who made cookies for you when you were feeling really down. It can just really be anything. But just notice as you're conjuring up this food memory, just notice what comes up in terms of where's the setting and who is the person or people with you. What are the actual feelings that you experienced at that time or that you feel when you look back at that? And just notice the care behind the gesture and what it meant to you. And hold that warmth as we begin, because I'm going to want to ask you in a minute, Colleen, what came up for you. Um, but before we do that, just want to share that there are hidden challenges when food is our love language, right? Because uh, we can sometimes make too much or do too much, or there's like endless other ways that messages can get, tied or miscommunicated. So when food becomes love language without conscious boundaries, sometimes feelings can get hurt. Like my grandma used to make me this sweet and sour meatballs. And when I became a vegetarian at 15, I like no longer ate that. And she would feel really hurt that I had declined something because she really felt that food was love. This was one of her love languages. Also be aware of if you use food to fix other people's emotions. Sometimes we feel so helpless when it comes to supporting other people. And, you know, sometimes, we feel like we can just fix this by sending over some brownies and I'm thinking of an incident where I have a friend right now who's going through cancer. And I keep thinking like, should I make food for her and freeze it? Should I like make a lovely like, baked goods thing? Or should I just take her to chemo and be there for her? Like maybe food isn't what she needs right now as she's feeling so sick and nauseous. So it's like you got to have a little nuance in some of these decisions. Sometimes there's guilt when receiving food-based care. Sometimes there's exhaustion from elaborate meal preparation. I know for myself, I have really high standards because my mom is a chef. And so when I have people over, I have these impossible standards that I feel like I have to live up to. And my husband's always like, do you need to make five entrees and three this? And, or could we simplify this? Or could you make a little less, little fewer components? So think about your energy capacity as it relates to your love language of giving or entertaining through food. And then obligation, making sure that these things are coming from a place of joy instead of obligation. And that's particularly true in some food traditions, which we'll get into in a minute. Um, Before we get into the five food love languages, I would love to hear, Colleen, what was the memory that came up for you about a time when you felt deeply loved or cared for through food?
It's actually a more recent one. I went on a healing retreat, and a good friend of mine was one of the hosts. And she had gone and she's trained in integrative food and nutrition. And she had created the most beautiful, delicious, nurturing, nutritious meals for that retreat the entire time. So
Mm.
I felt, safe and protected. I felt like, wow, I don't have to think about what I'm putting in my mouth, whether it's good for me or not. I knew that it was going to fuel my body in really positive ways. And it was worth every penny just for the food to
Ah,
go on
that's
this
so
retreat.
great. It sounds so nurturing and nourishing. And
Yes,
and I love that it like reduced friction for you, like the food decisions and like what should I have and what's healthy because you already trusted and knew that that was built into the experience. That's such a beautiful thing to experience that.
absolutely. And they have another one this fall. So,
Send me the info.
yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That's
Sure.
amazing. So let's discuss the five food languages. And just in case you don't know, this is inspired by Gary Chapman's book, The Love Languages, but we're just modifying a little bit to make it about food love language. And the first one is the provider. And we're going to talk about each one individually, but the provider ensures that is always the person who ensures everyone's well fed, nobody's leaving hungry. They just provide. Oh, you're a vegan? I'll make you that. Oh, you're gluten free? I'll make sure you have that. Just the provider. The celebrator is somebody who just loves to mark every and all occasions with food or food traditions, backyard barbecues, picnics, special Christmas dinners, special Thanksgiving, some things like that. The creator expresses their love and creativity through cooking. So they're both sharing themselves, their creative selves, and they're also sharing their love through their food and through their creations. And that's the food love that I received as a child because my mom is a chef, that she made these beautiful, amazing foods all the time that we got to sample and try. And we all had our favorites. And that's a special role to play, for some people. There's also the sharer. This is somebody who creates connection through meals. So my friend Jared, who lives in Manhattan, started the Lunch Club, and it went completely viral. He has it in like three cities. And it's just people getting together for lunch. And he knew that connecting people through food is such a universal language. And it's also a good way to learn about other cultures and other people and other food traditions. So that is what the sharer is. And then the comfort giver, that's the person who soothes with food. This is usually the person who um, soothe themselves through food, and they also use food to help soothe other people. So let's talk a little bit more about each one. Again, the provider, let me make sure you are taken care of. This is how you show love. You stock other people's fridges. You're always making sure no one goes hungry. There's always abundant meal preparation. As soon as someone comes in your house, have you eaten today? What can I get you? Like, let me make something for you. Your natural gifts are that you just have a caregiver instinct. You have a generous spirit, of course. It makes you feel good to do this for other people. And your attention is almost always on other people's needs. The things to watch out for as a provider is feeling hurt when offerings are declined, feeling like you're neglecting your own eating needs, which I have definitely done when I've thrown a party. Sometimes I even forget to eat, or using food to control situations. And then we have the creator. I made this especially for you. This is my grandma, like I spent hours in the kitchen making your favorite sweet and sour meatballs. or and you don't end up eating it, or trying new recipes for special people, beautiful, really priding yourself on beautiful, beautiful food presentation. And you're somebody who maybe makes homemade gifts and treats. Like one year, I know I made packets of granola and I put them in mason jars and I like added ribbon and it just felt so fun and so loving to make those for people. Um, your gifts, artistic expression through food, attention to detail and beauty, and creating memorable experiences for somebody else. The things to watch out for are feeling underappreciated or unappreciated when the effort isn't recognized, exhaustion or like overdoing it from elaborate expectations, and taking declined offerings personally rather than just it's not for them. The sharer, let's eat together. Let's have a communal meal. Come join me for this. Making, meal social events rather than just a meal and building connection and even networking through food. Your natural gifts, natural community builder, values relationships over perfection and creates inclusive atmospheres. The things to watch for as a sharer is maybe you have difficulty eating alone, slowly, mindfully, being alone. Maybe you really crave and desire that communal meal at all times, or feeling disconnected from other people and having that affect your mood and your energy levels, which may affect your food choices. And also taking solo eating as rejection. Like I personally love going to restaurants by myself, but there's always that thing in the back of my mind is like, oh my God, do people think I'm pathetic that I can't find someone to go out to dinner with? But it's like the ideas or narratives you have about eating alone may feel like a rejection. Next is the comfort giver. So I know exactly what you need. How you show love, showing up with soup. Oh, I've got soup. You're sick. Or, when I broke my foot in 2006, I was so grateful that I couldn't even believe how many people came over with like meals for my family and special meals for me that I could eat. It was I felt so cared for. It was really, really lovely. The comfort giver intuits other people's comfort food needs. We need our special, like, breakup cookies. I'm going to make them right away. Like just some sort of food to help you heal emotional pain together, or as a way to alleviate emotional pain. Let me make you feel better. Your gifts are emotional intelligence, nurturing instincts, healing presence. But the things to watch for are trying to fix other people's emotions with food, feeling responsible for everyone's well-being, and difficulty letting others be uncomfortable. And then the last one is the celebrator. This calls for something special. How you show love is creating meaningful food traditions, making occasions with special foods, preserving family memories and recipes, and building ritual and ceremony into eating experiences. So your gifts around this are you're a keeper of tradition and memories. Maybe you have a lot of nostalgia or food nostalgia. You like to create meaningful moments that are really memorable, and you really value ritual and connection. The things to watch for here are stress from maintaining these elaborate traditions, even when maybe they're not working anymore, disappointment when others don't value it the same as you do, and difficulty adapting to any changes that are made in the ritual or tradition. So I want to ask you, which food love language resonates with you the most, Colleen?
I would say the sharer.
The
Um,
sharer. Okay.
because and it's funny when you were talking through some of these before we go get into this. One thing that makes me uncomfortable sometimes is like, for example, if somebody loses someone, someone dies, and everyone always sends food, and I want to send food, and I get really insecure about it because I'm like, all right, I can cook a meal and serve it to you at my house and have it all ready. Well, what's the right meal that, it will, be
Mm,
good if you eat it tomorrow or in a few
mm,
days and I just end up freezing. So recently I sent a plant, but I get really insecure about making food that I have to send over. And I wonder if it's because this is my love language that I want to bring community together.
mm,
I want to break bread together. I had a women's circle that I hosted for 2 years at my house once a month. it didn't require there to be food, but I also wanted to be able to have dinner parties, so I combined the two, and I would make a delicious, fun meal for everyone, and we would have our circles starting out over food, and then we would move it to the living room, and it made my heart so happy to be
Yeah.
able to have that, communing over food.
Oh, 100%. And I was going to say you were the sharer as well, just what I know about you.
Yeah.
Definitely, definitely you're the sharer. Thank you for sharing that, sharer. Um, and so for you watching at home, based on what we've talked about, think about which food language, love language resonates the most for you. When someone is upset, what is your first food instinct? How do you typically celebrate good news with food? What food gesture makes you feel most appreciated? And when you want to show someone you care, what do you do? So I'm going to create a specific thread on our Heartbeat community for this workshop so that we can get into deeper discussions about this. And one thing that you could do is I'm going to leave a link for you to be able to join the Heartbeat community if you haven't already and steer you to that thread so you can share with us. I would love to know, are you a provider, creator, sharer, comfort giver, and or celebrator? You can be more than one thing, but try to think about what your primary one is. So now I want to introduce you to the heart method. And this is for people who want to create healthy food traditions, maybe healthier food traditions, and but know it's time for some sort of change. Number one is to honor the meaning behind the tradition. Evolve traditions to fit the current needs, adapt for different circumstances. Like Colleen, it makes me think about like one of the reasons you may not want to give food to somebody is you want to also honor and respect. Well, what if they don't eat this and I make it like
Right.
this? Or you want to actually make it thoughtful and caring and bespoke to them. And that can be hard. It can put you in decision anxiety. Like, I don't know what to make that would be like check all these boxes, and you don't want to bother them because they're grieving. And so here's a plan. It makes so much sense that it's so valid that you would be kind of stuck there from that
Yeah.
place. Respecting individual boundaries, and T, together creating new meaningful rituals. So honoring the meaning. So in order to do this, you can ask yourself, what feeling, what's the vibe I'm trying to create here? What connection am I fostering? What memory or value does this represent for me? Because the food is the vehicle to that, not the destination. So an example could be like, our Sunday family dinner, it's not about the pot roast or whatever we serve. It's about everyone being together, sharing our week and feeling connected as a family. You know, Evolve to fit current needs. You can change your traditions or adapt it to new dietary restrictions. Oh, grandpa needs to reduce his salt, so we're not going to be having blah, blah, blah anymore. Or, whatever it is, budget constraints, which is a very big reality for so many families, time limitations, changing family dynamics, people who are perhaps leaving the house or coming back home for a couple of years or whatever it is. So a traditional, it might be elaborate holiday feast that you've done for 20 years for 20 people. An evolved ritual could be a potluck style gathering where everyone contributes according to their ability and preference. It's the same connection. It's just a more sustainable execution, and it takes into account some of the things that sometimes end up being conflicts within a family meal or tradition. Adapt for different circumstances. So plan for life changes. What if someone moves away? What if there are health issues that arise? What if the family size changes? There's a new baby in the house. How can I possibly make, a four-course meal for Thanksgiving? What if your economic situation shifts, somebody gets laid off? You can't really afford to entertain 20 people and provide all the food. So building flexibility here is really important. Thinking about virtual participation options, simplified versions, alternative formats or methods, and modifying your traditions that maintain the meaning. So, for instance, during COVID, I had this idea of doing a virtual dinner party, and it was like with five families, and we all made something specific. Like we had an entree and appetizers and a salad and a dessert. And everybody showed up in my driveway. I had a big table set up, and people came by and dropped off their stuff and picked up their stuff. So then everybody brought their food home, and we got on Zoom and we just like had the best time, like eating and talking and like sharing a meaningful experience, and we didn't let that challenge get in the way. So it's like sometimes things come up where you just have to modify a little bit, but it doesn't mean not having the connection at all. Respect. Got to respect individual boundaries. How can you include somebody, make them feel seen and heard, but without pressuring them? How can you try to honor dietary needs and restrictions, allow for different participation levels, and accept various comfort levels? Someone can love the tradition that you have that's really important to you, but just participate a little bit differently. And someone can love you and still want or need different foods than you. Um, Together is for, T is for together. Create meaningful change. You can involve other people by asking for input. Hey, what do you think about this new tradition? What if we did this instead? Sharing decision-making responsibilities, creating space for new ideas, and building in choices that work for everyone. And also using collaborative questions like, how can we make this work better for everyone so we can be together and we can make this work? What would make this more enjoyable? And what parts are important to you or matter to you that we can keep going, even if we remove some of the other parts of it? So that's basically what I wanted to share through the content today. And the key, the key takeaways here is to begin to understand or learn what your specific love language is or are. Learn how to apply the heart method to these traditions and balance giving and receiving with boundaries. And the next step, if you so choose to practice this, is to just try one of the heart principles this week and share your insights in the Heartbeat community. I'm going to turn off this share and I'm going to open up the Google Docs just so you can see what's part of the package that you'll receive after. So let me do that. Okay. Can you see
Yes.
transform your food traditions?
Yep.
Okay, so here, if you're watching this on the replay, please go through these documents. This one is using the heart method, and you can just kind of jot your notes for what it already is and how you can improve it. I've also included some food boundary scripts for people who feel a little bit, they struggle a little bit more with that. So, like how you can decline additional food if you feel pressured to eat things and you're full. I can see how much care went into this. I'm satisfied. I really just want to savor what I've had. Thank you. Like ways that you can just shut it down quickly without ruminating and feeling guilty and just really asserting your own needs. Setting food boundaries. I love that you want to take care of me, but what would help the most is I appreciate the gesture so much, but I'm working on listening to my body signals. There, other things that you can use, hopefully in different situations, and I think that they could be very valuable for you. What else? Food as love language. This is your pre-workshop reflection, but it's fine if you haven't done it yet. You can fill this out, and then again in the Heartbeat community, I would love to hear some of these answers. You can also just keep it for yourself as well. Food as love language. This is also another pre-workshop reflection. And you can sort of rate, your food love history and your current challenges and your goals, etc. And then finally, this is a more, it's information more about the different types of food love language, the provider, the creator. It's another assessment that you can use to see what you fall into. So I hope this was fun. I hope it was helpful, useful, creative, different, something that, maybe you haven't thought about before, but could be useful in your everyday life. So I would love to hear, is there one thing that you got from this workshop today that you're going to bring forward with you?
I feel like this is so different than everything I've ever learned before when thinking about love language associated with food and the things, and how I show up and, how I feel if I'm cooking or how I'm feeling when other people are cooking for me. So
Mm.
having that self-awareness so that one, I'm not offended. Um, and to have that, like for example, when I did my women's circles, I didn't realize that I was going to have two vegetarians in the group, which completely changes the decision-making process about what you're going to make. And, you know, I had to be more creative, which I've never really had to before because I've never had vegetarians in my life in my kitchen.
Mhm.
So I think I really want to dig in deeper to a lot of this and, consume it a little bit more and see how I can use it, more on a regular basis because I do want to have more opportunities to share. We had a little dinner party last weekend. We may have one this Saturday night. I sometimes do get a little bit stressed and, I want to create good experiences. I want the food to be delicious. And kind of takes a little of the pressure off when you can have a method to
Mhm.
review. So thank you for sharing this. I think it's really positive.
Yay. Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you for that feedback and thanks for sharing like everything today, all your story about the retreat you went on and how there can be so many different ways of showing love and nurturing through food, right? And also, you shared some of the pitfalls or the downsides or the ways that you feel a little bit challenged with this. So thank you so much for participating today.
You got it.
And if you're watching on the replay, thank you so much for watching. I will send all the slides and the packet of information and the Heartbeat community link either in an email or in this document that you're watching the video on. So thanks for coming to the monthly Mindful Lounge, and I will see you next month. And take care. Bye.
Bye.